What's up everyone, and welcome to ZP Productions, and today we'll be reviewing this lens here. This is the 63mm F2.8 GF lens by Fujifilm. This is actually Fujifilm's first lens for the GFX series. It is a 50mm equivalent. 63mm for the GFX series is about 50mm for full frame. So it's meant to be the nifty 50, or should I say the good 50 of the GFX series. It comes with an aperture of f2.8 and it is really an old lens. I own this since the day that the GFX was launched. Now, as usual with my reviews, the first part will be on the physical body and of course how it works. The second part will be on the image quality of this lens, and lastly how I felt about this lens itself. So the first part, the physical body of this lens. Now this lens here is quite good because even though Fujifilm actually places this as one of the cheapest lens, the second cheapest after the current 50mm f3.5, this lens is really well built. If you touch it, you know, when it's under aircon, you can feel that this is actually a pure metal lens. This is a metal barrel. It has a metal mount and it is quite well built in every single way. Every button and dial is very nice. Now, speaking about dials, this is of course the very Fujifilm centric thing. Then they have the aperture dial here, and for the GFX series, of course, there is the buttons to lock it at A and lock it at C. So you know, if you lock it at A or C, you can't really turn the thing. However, Fujifilm did not implement the locking throughout the entire aperture range. So many of times I will hit the ring and it moves. So this ring here is not really tight, not really loose also, but you know, in the field it really gets hit very easily, and a lot of times this results me in shooting like f3.2. Now the focusing ring here is of course very smooth, but that is because this lens is a focus by wire lens. So, you know, turning this ring doesn't do anything unless you're on the camera and you set it on manual focus to power the lens itself. And while turning this ring, it will focus the lens mechanism. Now, the thing about this 63mm is a mixed bag when it comes to the focusing. This is probably the slowest focusing lens before the GFX 100. When the 100 came out, actually it improved a lot. Partially because it extends and contracts quite a bit. If you take a look at this, so it extends and contracts quite a little for this lens, and this contracting and extending component tends to break because this lens uses some sort of micro motor inside the lens itself, and if you put sufficient pressure while on and offing this camera itself, it may damage this motor. And if you go online in the forum, this is probably the most common reason why this lens fails. So it's probably the only weak part of the lens. If not, if you see this, if I just wiggle this barrel itself, it doesn't really move much. So overall, this lens is a very well built lens. Now, enough with of course the build quality. Now let's take a look at the images. So before I talk too deep about these images itself, now let me show you some images taken with this lens itself, and enjoy the next 2 minutes of images here. hope you enjoy the image, because this lens really take great photos. As I said, this is the second most inexpensive lens in GF. It's still quite expensive. Today you probably get it about anywhere from 800 Sing dollars to 1,003 depending the quality of the lens. Is it new or not? But if not, this lens is relatively affordable for the GFX series of cameras. And really, if you take a look at all these images here, they are sharp. They are good contrast. Of course, the colors is dependent on the sensor of the camera. Of course, the GFX 100 has fantastic colors. But if not, this lens really produces you great quality images, corner to corner, extremely tech sharp even for 100 megapixels. In fact, take a look at some of the zooms here and you really will be impressed by the quality it gives, be it in the center or off center. Now, this lens is very good in terms of the image quality. And because this is a medium format, a 63 2.8 will equate to about 50 f2 or f2.2 depending on how you crop. And as such, it still has relatively good bokeh, as you can see in the images. The bokehs are relatively smooth, nothing too jarring. And one of the best part of the GFX series of lenses is their CA is very low, so are their LOCA, which is longitudinal CA. So you see all these bokeh balls and stuff, they rarely have any CA issues and therefore tinge the image in unnecessary ways. Really, if you ask me in optics, for a 50mm lens, this lens may be as good as it gets. And you know, if not because it's an f2.8, probably only the Otus can beat this lens in terms of image quality. And I have actually tried the Otus, quite a really great lens. Of course, when the Otus stops down to f2, its image quality is really similar to this lens. But don't forget, the Otus costs nearly 6 times more or 5 times more depending on where you stay in around the world. So, summing all this up, the image quality of this lens is fantastic. The build quality is good. The only issue is of course the extending barrel and the motor that is relatively noisy and fragile in certain ways. If not, the price, as I said, varies from region to region. Now, depending on whether you get first hand or second hand, you can get it anywhere from 1,000 to 1,005 Sing dollars, or if you convert to USD, it's like 700 to 1,003 depending on the offer and not. Fujifilm gives a lot of offer for this lens. In fact, in the second hand market, because at one point of time Fujifilm actually gave this as a package lens with the GFX 50R, they actually dropped this lens price to nearly 700 or 800 Sing dollars, I remember. And in the second-hand market, you can really get it at that price easily. So, for a starter lens, for a 50mm, you like the feel of view, this is the lens to get if you own the GFX series. Now, of course, this is now not the cheapest lens, there is the 50 f3.5, but remember, that is actually equivalent to a 40 f2.8. So this is a much faster lens and it is a standard 50mm. So if you prefer the field of view, of course get this. But if you're not for the field of view, you just want medium format quality, you want small lenses, the new 50mm is slightly smaller, and of course it uses the LM motor, which is a lot better, more silent, more quick, and it's not as fragile as this motor itself on the 63mm. Overall, if you ask me, if you want a cheap lens to start off in the GFX series, there's of course 3 of them. This lens, the 63mm, which is a 50mm equivalent, or the 45mm GF, which is the 35mm equivalent, or the 50mm GF, which is a 40mm equivalent. All in all, those lenses are great. The 63mm is no different. If you want a 50mm field of view, just get it and enjoy the photos that comes out of this lens itself, as long as you own the GFX series, of course. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will actually do more reviews on such cheaper lenses. The next one will be the 45mm, and hopefully I can get my hands on the 50mm f3.5, because the GFX series is known to be really expensive, but with this trio of relatively affordable lens, it does make the GFX a lot more affordable. Today a brand new, or should I say a second-hand GF50 and GFX 50 do not really cost more than a high-end full frame. But if you have actually touched the raw files, they are truly fantastic. That's all for today. I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.